few days ago, I uploaded a video in response to the DNC fraud lawsuit case. And I pretty much took a position of boycotting the elections for the obvious reasons of the blatant corruption of not only the Democratic Party, but this dual party system that we have in America. And unfortunately, because of the enormous corruption of the mainstream parties, that pretty much undercuts and circumvents opposition parties like the Green Party and other parties like such as that. So as I said, I took that position in boycotting the elections. I didn't stop at that. I actually went to the length of unsubscribing, disassociating myself with these organizations. I emailed these organizations and addressed my concerns and my issues with these tactics and these methods that have been unsuccessful for many decades. And I just think we need a new direction outside of the political apparatus. So in these organizations that I emailed include the Justice Democrats, Our Revolution, the Green Party, Draft Bernie, the Progressive Independent Party, the Democratic Party, and I pretty much think I have all of those organizations that I've emailed. And there's probably many more that maybe I didn't touch, but you guys, those of you who decide to take the same position could contact these organizations. So yeah, I encourage you guys to do the same, because it's not enough to just boycott or retract yourself from these organizations and these institutions. We have to go to the length to address it and let these organizations know where we stand and why we're taking these positions. We don't necessarily have to be at a point of coming up with a solution or a conclusion of which direction to go toward. We just pretty much have to acknowledge that this direction is a failed direction and just withdraw ourselves from these tactics and these methods that are pretty much siphoning our efforts and our resources that could be used in a better alternative. So I encourage you guys to do that, and perhaps if that gets enough traction, we could actually prioritize our efforts. And I'm not saying that I'll never support these parties or these tactics. I just think I'm kind of restructuring and rearranging my priorities, whereas the political efforts kind of drop down to maybe a secondary priority, and a primary priority would be that of trying to divest, boycott, decentralize, democratize, and take methods like that really promote personal responsibility, rather than trying to divert our civil responsibilities to an institution, organization, or some political savior. We got to take responsibility for our actions and for the directions that we're going to take. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to organize around the same failed tactics. We could do something different. And I think that's what's very important about these revelations that have come out. Like, we can finally empower ourselves and finally just drift away from this toxic and very strenuous, just very strenuous direction that's just, squeezing us and really just burning us out. And I mentioned this to a friend of mine. I gave him the example of the Mayweather fight, that I didn't really pay attention to, but I did hear some highlights and some commentary about it, and how Mayweather's tactic was to, for the first 3 rounds, to pretty much burn out McGregor, just let him pound him, and then after that, take over. And that's pretty much what the establishment is doing with us progressives. They're just letting us burn each other out, with this whole resist campaign and the, single payer, fight for 15, this, that, and the third, all these progressive policies that, I'm not saying I don't support, but I'm saying we're getting to the point where we're just burning each other out, or burning ourselves out. Whereas when there's a real significant type of paradigm shift, we're pretty much already burnt. We're pretty much just tired and frustrated, where we can't even focus on that area because we've been so focused on a different area, and so stressed out, frustrated, and just just frustrated. I for some reason I can't think of any other words, but yeah, we don't want to get burnt out. We don't want to continue in this same path, and I think it's important for us to just start with baby steps. Just do the obvious. Just disassociate yourself with these positions and these directions, and just focus on an individual path, our individual responsibility. So I encourage you guys to take heed to some of what I'm saying, and take on this campaign that many of us are promoting, which is boycotting the elections. So you guys will hear from me soon. Thanks for tuning in.